Although I don't see anything on the screen right now. Like the screen share is black. There we go. Beautiful. You want me to just let her rip? Okay, buddy. Yep. All right, everybody, welcome back to Game 2, Teemo Cup. Round 1, the 16th seed versus the 17th seed. 16th seed being University of Missouri. We're going to be seeing on the right side of your screen, and the St. Clair Gaming is going to be on the St. Clair Saints. It's going to be on the left side of your screen. And this is Game 2 of a best of 3 between the two of them in round 1. The winner of this goes on to face the first seed, which is Texas Tech in round 2, who had a bye in the first round because there are 31 teams and not 32 to fill out that bracket. Still quite a few teams in this one. 31 is a huge amount of teams to get into a single tournament. And I believe they are all, if not most of them, are school teams, so it's post-secondary school. Now, coming out of this, going into this pick and ban phase, we've got a very interesting singed ban, a rumble ban, and a Jana ban. So Jana being copied over, Jana and Rumble being copied over from the last game in terms of bans for coming out of the Saints. The opposite end, you've got Pantheon, which I think is going to be a pretty standard ban against the Saints for quite a while. Huge amount of Pantheon being played by the Young Falcon. Vel'Koz being banned. I did not like the way that one went in the last game. Nidalee being banned and sticking to the Draven ban as well. So 3 of the similar bans from last time. Meanwhile, the pickups coming up here now, you've got Sejuani being grabbed early on, Morgana being picked up as well again, and Galio. So Morgana coming back into this one. I think they want to prove a point. I think Ape Snipe is like, listen, I know what happened. There was a hair in my laser mount, and you know, things just didn't go as well as they could have for me. And Galio now being picked up, so it's going to be Galio in the mid lane, which I think I've seen Azuna play before, and he did quite well with it, so we'll see if that goes the same way this time. Now, back into the ban phase again with this tournament format. I absolutely love the way that this pick and ban phase goes in tournament format, where you get a couple bans, a couple picks, a couple bans, couple picks again, versus all the bans up front. Caitlyn and Orianna being banned, so 3 of the same characters that we saw last game being banned out. However, they let Thresh slip through, which I know was a ban from the last time around, and Missouri. So I think that's probably a very big comfort pick for that bottom lane. And also Varus being banned. So Varus was another similar ban. So you've got Xayah and Thresh in the bottom lane. I think it's a pretty aggressive, pretty utility-heavy bottom lane. Meanwhile, it's going to be Morgana and maybe an Ezreal. I don't know how big of a fan I am of that. I think you have to play a very particular style of game that hasn't... So the effective games that I've seen come out of the Saints has been a very particular play style. And there we go. So switching to Tristana. It has been a very particular play style, and it's more straightforward. It's not, you know, basing their play around like one like I know poke strategy was a big thing for several years, and you know, split pushing strategies and things like that. I think a more straight up, you get a tower, rotate, pick up the next one. Like you're literally, it's like just going to a grocery store. You got a checklist of things, and you take the most efficient route to pick everything up. That's the thing that has been working for them the most, and that's what they're going to, I think, go for in this one. Galio plays into that. Urgot clearly plays into that. Even though in the last game he did a lot of split pushing, I think that just fit the strategy because of how effective they were at taking those towers. Now, on the opposite end, Twisted Fate being nabbed up here. And it's, yeah, so Xayah, Thresh. Now, I think Xayah is going to have a much more comfortable time laning against Tristana in the early and mid game, especially with Thresh alongside. But the spell shield for Morgana is going to play a major factor now, because you have more consistent abilities that can be spell shielded from Xayah. You've got the CC from Xayah and a huge amount of CC from Thresh that can be spell shielded. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a level 2 or level 3 spell shield come out early from Morgana as opposed to max Q, max W, and then max E last. We might see a couple points being put into that E early on. Plus, what's the point of putting a bunch of points into an ability like Dark Binding if you're not going to land it? Just trolling. Just messing around. Although I don't know these guys well enough to really burn them like this, but I know Dustin well enough, who is the head coach. So I'm going to, and these are his players. So I consider this a more indirect burn to Dustin, who I can tell you is listening to this right now. And I'm pretty pleased about that, actually. All right, so Jax in the jungle, Trundle in the top. Could have been interchangeable, whichever way they would have went with that. But I think Jax in the jungle is much more meta right now, where it absolutely would have been the reverse of that even just a couple of months ago. And then absolutely every season prior to that would have been the reverse of that with Jax in the top and Trundle. His name rhymes with jungle. I'm sure there's a song on YouTube somewhere about Trundle in the jungle. I'm absolutely sure of it. And yet now he has a more comfortable home up in that top lane. What else are we looking at here? Anything in particular that I think is going to be particularly tricky? Now, I will say that taking Galio up against Twisted Fate, I can tell you, is extremely effective. First of all, Galio versus pretty much anyone that is AP based, which he will face the majority of the time in the mid lane, feels so good because you get to build up those defenses and you're defending it against that type of damage and dealing your own damage at a higher rate just based off of a standard build against those kind of characters. And on top of that, against Twisted Fate in particular, Twisted Fate's going to be teleporting around the map with that ultimate, trying to get some aggression done. But if Galio pays attention to which direction Twisted Fate is walking, and you see the ultimate come off, which he'll see a trigger on his own character, let alone probably the yelling that his teammates are going to be doing, he can ult that person and be right alongside them for that fight. And like I said, I think in terms of that 1v1, I think you want the Galio in that fight more than you would want the Twisted Fate in terms of having that fight go in your favor. So going to be some timing issues in play here, possibly for both sides. Galio's going to need to save his ult to deal with that if that's something he wants to focus on. And Twisted Fate is going to have to time out maybe when Galio is low health or doesn't have his ultimate up or something like that. I think that's definitely going to be both sides are going to have to keep an extra eye on that as opposed to just their standard lane, don't get ganked, CS, all that good stuff. All right, so we're going to be jumping into this one. I personally need to go and spectate these guys. So I've been just casting off of a share screen. So very interesting. And one thing I got to say, just as a quick shout out, big shout out to St. Clair College in Windsor for putting all of this on, supporting the players, and really taking massive steps in the right direction in terms of seeing esports for what it truly is, which is a massive, massive industry and something that a lot of new students coming up are very, very interested in. They're interested in competing. They're interested in watching. I think it's a massive spectator sport, or spectator event, rather. I don't know. You can argue the semantics of whether or not it's a sport, but regardless, it's a huge spectator event, and I think the students are certainly appreciative of that. And I think a lot of the schools are going to start seeing the light, and St. Clair really being on the forefront of that.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
Okay, so in we go. By the way, not to say that these other schools aren't doing that, but St. Clair took a massive step in creating an official varsity team, the first official varsity team in Canada. So very, very cool stuff. Now, a defensive spread out coming down here. It's going to be Tristana chilling in the mid lane with the Galio. Not wanting anything too tricky to go down here. And Sam Strongman looks like he's actually going to be starting at his blue buff, which I kind of like for a character like Sejuani. You really do want to expend your mana pretty quickly when going through your jungle routes, and maybe just wanting to give a little bit of a quick lane advantage to the bottom lane, or you know, just defending his side of the jungle and then rotating to red. Now my main role is jungle. I've played a ton of Sejuani lately, and that's my go-to tank jungle if we need one. And starting red, you absolutely can do that. It's just, I think, a little bit more efficient with the cooldowns and the extra mana that comes out of blue buff to start. So they're gonna do this pretty quickly, and that E just does so much freaking damage. So much damage. Meanwhile, though, on the opposite end, actually, Jax is going to start his own red. Not smiting. He does actually get to save that, so... But he's actually taking... Now, I will admit... Meanwhile, some aggression in the top lane here. I will admit that I have not played Jungle Jax yet. And so, I'm not sure what the standardized runes are for him. I would have imagined it would have been something aggressive, so... like the domination path, or possibly even closer path, depending on what threat you go with that. A lot of damage. A lot of damage coming out of Galio at early level 2. And actually, level 2 coming out here as well for the bottom lane. Saints Gaming jumping in there. A lot of damage coming out here. Jax is heading down to that bottom lane with the double buff, though. I don't know how well this is. You've got the level 2 advantage for Saints Gaming. First blood goes down, and that's going to be Morgana picking up that kill. Tristana actually has potential for a second kill. She will get it. No, she won't get it. The E's not going to do enough damage. Thresh gets away from that one, but Jax picks up the kill on Morgana. So we're 1-for-1. I still have to say, though, that shows absolute lane dominance for the side of Saints Gaming, and Jax forced to leave his jungle, which allows for Sejuani to continue farming up in her jungle. 16 CS to the 9 CS of Jax. And now slowly creeping his way back up there. Sorry, no, it has up 15 CS. It's still a massive lead there for that. And man, Galio absolutely pounding, kind of literally the Twisted Fate here. Now actually rushing forward with the gold card, and very nice timing from Galio to flash out of range for Jax jumping in there and not landing that stun off of his feet. Really well played. Now, another advantage that came from this was that the death that came from Missouri was actually on their ADC, so she missed out on a pretty good chunk of CS, a 5 CS lead this early in the game. Could snowball, who knows? Whereas on the opposite end, it was just Morgana who died, and actually Tristana left with a lot of HP. Got to stick around in lane, and is still in lane, so the first shot is going to be way more effective than the single dagger that's coming out of Zaya right now. I can only imagine that she's going to pick up the BF sword. Uh-oh, though, big whiff, and Blinn forced to jump away from that one. I think they'll be okay, especially with the spell shield on Morgana. Meanwhile, in the top lane, a lot of damage coming down there. Great placement on that pillar. Always difficult for a melee champion, for the most part, depending on who it is, to take on a ranged champion. So you can see a pretty significant CS lead coming the way of Saints Gaming in the top lane as well because of that factoring in. But the ability to fight back like that, find good positions to deal damage and try to equalize things is always impressive to watch. Alright, so pickaxe actually going forward here for Tristana, but it's pickaxe plus a potion. Whereas on the opposite end, you've only got the dagger and the shield coming out, the Doran shield coming out for Zaya. So probably going to want to play a little bit more defensively here, and the dagger for her makes sense considering the abilities that stem off those feathers coming out and how many feathers you got out on the ground. So still smart, and it'll be more effective for her that way. It actually picks up, oh man, a lot of damage coming out here on Trundle, by the way, as we're watching this. Picks up Cull. I don't think I've ever had to say that word, even in casting this game. I can't say that I've seen that item actually come up all that often without it being turned into something on the first shot. Now, so I still think, so 2 potions for Zaya, 1 potion. I still think the item advantage is actually in the favor of Tristana right now, especially with the kit that she brings to the table. And if Morgana can time the spell shields and almost entirely nullify Thresh's abilities, something strong that you said about that synergy. So again, nice flash coming out. Oh, but the E was started a little bit late, so does get that stun down. And in comes Twisted Fate. Actually ghosts into this one. Flashes forward with the gold card. They're going ham on this one. Urgot needs to do some damage to this Jax, so I think that's going to be an execute. No, he did get the kill. Okay, I didn't see what came out there. I think it might have been a Q or a W that came out there. But does get the kill, the turnaround kill on Jax. So 3 characters being sent to the top lane for a 1-for-1. Not exactly that efficient. Now in comes Sejuani to the bottom lane here. Galio's gonna jump in as quite lifted. But Sam Strongman, steps a little bit too far forward into that fight, and Xayah stuck around to cut off the top side retreat away from the tower, forced to take yet another tower hit, and does end up going down. So literally just kind of a full-blown exchange, both sides, that's pretty well equal. However, the turret goes down in the bottom lane, and that is a massive advantage, pushing up 11.8k to 10.1 in favor of Saints Gaming. Nice binding, but nobody's there to fight that one and back that up. So she's just going to go back. Jax is to step into the fray, though. Standing on a ward, not the best idea. Probably should have walked away from that one. Down the lane. Rough stuff. Pretty rough. Now, here's an interesting position, because the last game, if you recall, was about twice as, actually it was a little bit more than twice as long into the game. So we're 7.5 minutes now, it was about 15.5 minutes the last time, and first tower was not down, dragon was not down, and now we already have first tower. So I think, you know, like I mentioned last time, do that standard rotation. You take a turret, just go through that grocery store, pick up all the things along the way. Second thing on the list is top tier 1 turret, and then I think it's gonna be probably mid tier 1, and then it's gonna be dragon, but they're interchangeable. It's like the milk and cheese. They're in the same aisle, doesn't matter which one you pick up first. Just grab one of them, and you'll be on path to filling up that fridge with a good, well-rounded company meal. Now, Twisted Fate in the mid lane, did not mention this, absolutely getting bullied here. Meanwhile, Sejuani is level 6. Jax just hit level 6 as well. I don't know if that's going to play a major factor. He does pop that ultimate, and tries to get the kill quick enough, but ends up going down. So it's going to be a 1-for-1 in that mid lane. And Twisted Fate is an absolute beating. Galio also extremely low, but I think if they were to engage each other, unless Twisted Fate can get a card off without the dash coming forward from Asuna, if he can do that, then he probably could win that fight, but I really doubt it. Big binding coming out here onto the Xayah, taking massive damage. 8 snipe, only level 4, extremely low right now, ends up getting picked up. I don't know how he's so low right now. Meanwhile, TF looking to pull up a gold card, but Tristana going ham, gets a turnaround kill, gonna pick up double buffs, gets the reset on a W. So it's really interesting. It's like the team that's deciding to engage is getting turned around on almost every single time. So we saw there, Morgana tries to get the engage off, ends up getting picked up, and then Twisted Fate tries to engage on the turnaround for that second kill, ends up getting picked up from the aggression from Blinn. And I gotta say, just in terms of the individual skill level that I've seen coming out of the Saints, and I've seen quite a few games now, Blinn seems to be extremely confident, and he plays extremely well. Ooh, I think he would have got sniped if that minion wasn't there. But even still, playing really aggressively on Tristana always seems to play over well. Ape Snipe is in lane. Does he hit the Q? Does not hit the Q, but he's got the W down, so he's forced to walk through that. Takes about 100 damage from just the W alone, and Omnivore is gonna have to walk away from this. Oh no, he's gonna stay. Actually, he's gonna stay and defend. He sees Asuna in that, taking out that ward. Twisted Fate is fully healed and shocked though, whereas Galio is not. He's got a lot more items coming in, and Morgana only level 5 now. Has to run away from this. There's 4 characters in the top lane. Both original top lane and the bottom lane. Big ultimate comes from Sam Strongman. Galio comes in with the ultimate as well. E jumping on Jax, jumping forward, trying to catch Blinn, but Blinn saves his W to jump away from this one. Very smartly doing so. Not playing overly aggressive there. Like I said, he's an aggressive player, but he's also a smart player. Saves the W for a defensive play and jumps away before Jax's E can get popped. So he lives another day with those double buffs, and I can only imagine that the aggression that he's going to be able to put forward with these 2 low characters defending this is going to be enough to take out this turret. Oh, in comes Sejuani, and that's definitely a kill. Tristana's going to pick that one up, probably going to jump forward. Nope, just going to pop that ultimate and jump away. Zaya doing a surprising amount of damage. I don't actually think Blinn expected that, but calculates it anyways, just in case it gets away. Jax is going to stay in that top lane. I don't like this for Jax. I don't think it's a smart move to just sacrifice that turret, but the young Falcon in the bottom lane getting chased down here. Another gold card hitting would definitely be the end of his day, and that it will be. Now Jax staying in top lane, this might be a commentator's curse here, but I said I didn't think he should stay. He ends up staying, and everybody just leaves. I feel like they could have kept going with that aggression. The same thing with the Dragon in the last game, where I thought there was a good opportunity after a 3-0 kill lead, or it was 3 deaths, jungle and both bot laners, and everybody stayed alive for Saints where they could have taken that Dragon. They end up opting not to do so, and the same thing happened in top lane. 2 characters bot, 2 characters dead top, and Jax top. Anyways, another fight happening here in the bottom lane. Gold, same characters, with the young Falcon on the run. Use that teleport. There's that gold card. Has the Epoch as well with Twisted Fate, and he will go down yet again. So I really like that stick around play from Missouri. Now, big binding coming out here. Is it going to be enough? Actually, a big turnaround coming on to Blinn. I don't know where that spell shield went. It might have just got totally soaked up through the amount of damage that came out. Galio jumps in though here. Ultimate comes up for Morgana, is going to stun up the Jax. Jax try to find the kill on Morgana before he goes down. I don't think it's going to work out though. Tristana jumps forward. Ooh, big binding is going to hit. And Morgana picks up the kill on Jax. So now they're just going to stay in the top lane and continue to push down here. Same scenario, but they're going to go to that second lane turret. And like I said before, I thought it was going to be mid-tier 1 or Dragon as that next item on the list. But you know what? We're going to skip ahead to somewhere in the middle of the store and pick up something else instead. They're just going to circle back around for, some of those essentials, the bread, the butter. They're going to wait and get that a little bit later. Twisted Fate, going to jump in here, and Morgana just sacrifices herself. I dig that. I absolutely dig that. Not to mention, Tristana has a massive bounty on her head right now. Do not want her to die, but Twisted Fate ghosting up almost in range for that gold card. There we go. So it does run out, and they're going to back up on this one. I don't know if maybe they're going to try to take the Rift Herald. They're in the area. Everybody kind of eyeballing it. A ward goes down, so they're going to back off. But meanwhile, Jack's actually going to solo this Dragon behind Urgot, so nobody knows what's going on there, but he will end up taking that one pretty easily, I would imagine. Fun fact, Jax is actually the first character they ever played in this game. Alright, so 1 Dragon, Cloud Drake, same thing as last game in the favor of Missouri. However, a roughly 3,500 gold lead. About 3,500 gold lead in favor of Saints Gaming, so they're going to be feeling pretty good about this. I would certainly take that lead over a Cloud Drake any day. Inferno, yeah, I'd probably say gold, but Inferno value out of that one. Ooh, Morgana gets stunned up. Probably could have spell shielded herself a little bit late on that one. Actually, I would have preferred that she save it for another ability that came out of Jax, or even, sacrificed herself and used it on somebody else that maybe to come up. Now, a lot of tension happening in this red side jungle. Kind of disengages though. Everybody jumps off. Bottom lane, there's a big fight going down there as well. 1v1. Big blue comes out. I don't like the ultimate from Sejuani, but I think they're far enough ahead that it doesn't matter. They pick up the Thresh, gets that big kill, and Twisted Fate goes down as well. A lot of damage. Tristana goes down though, so this could be a nice position if, oh yeah, definitely not. Zaya does not have the amount of damage she needs right now. It doesn't have a single finished item on that character. Going for both the Infinity Edge and the Static Shiv at the same time. Not working out in her favor there. I think if she had 1 item finished, she would be in a much better position in that fight and could have shelled out a lot more damage. Meanwhile, Tristana actually has both of those items finished. 7, 1, and 4 will do that to you. Although the big gold bounty that Jax picked up there, I think is going to be really nice for him. He's looking at I think in a Trinity Force as his next finished item. He does pick up that Sheen. He's got a Skirmisher Saber as well. And 2 control wards. Got to hand it to Missouri, though. It's not often that you see teams carrying around more than 1 control ward per character. And you see Fresh has got 3 of them. Really wants to keep control of the map. Jackson got 2. Trundle has 1. And Saints, I don't think they actually need to place the ones they've got right now. They've already got 3 down controlling that top side of the jungle. Pretty effectively as it stands. Alright, so Blinn just going ham. Like he just knows what's going on. Blinn, I think, is going to be a guy you want to watch in the future. You can see his positioning is just so aggressive, and I would absolutely love to be in the room to hear the shot calling that goes on between these guys. Because it looks like Blinn is, I'm not going to say on another level of skill, but on another level of aggression. Where he just wants to shell out a lot of damage, get himself as far forward as he can, use all the enemy cooldowns and not cooldowns. But big match out here, Sam Strongman getting caught out, but Blinn in the background, you can see just shelling away. And it's hard to watch the middle of the fight here with the tanks because Blinn just doing so much damage. Twitch Fate trying to match that damage, Zaya trying to match that damage. But they know that if the tanks are duking it out and the tanks get traded, you know that the Missouri's tanks are going to go down first because Blinn is so far ahead, because Galio is in a pretty strong position as well as yes. I think that will outmatch the Ogre that's on Fate right now. So I think that there's damage-heavy champions that are just so far ahead that when those tanks go down, Saints Gaming are going to be a lot happier than Missouri is. And that's exactly what happened now. I will hand it to Missouri, though, at least having the smarts about them to back off as soon as they knew that was not going to go in their favor, and they definitely could not reach Tristana. And I think it's going to be hard to reach Tristana even into the later stages of the game. I almost feel like it's going to be up to Jax or even Twisted Fate to get in there very aggressively. Maybe have a Zanya's on deck to help him push that aggression forward. But I don't know. It's going to be tough to get her. I mean, even with a Jax, I don't know how you land that stun without her at least starting her W. Like, she can get stunned, but still have her W activated, sort of jumping forward as it stands. Oh, Rick Carroll's still up. I did not realize that. 40 seconds left to this now. Absolutely will do that. Alright, so now Rift Herald, and that's going to go the way of Galio. 38,000 to 31,000. Really tough spot to be here for Missouri. I'm trying to think of what you could do in this scenario. I will say, actually, that I've been noticing that Athena is not actually doing a full ton of damage. We've seen this scenario like 3 or 4 times now. Trundle and Twisted Fate just hammering down on the bottom lane. Meanwhile, the rest of the team's up in the top lane. And it's, oh no! Let him get away. That would have absolutely been terrible if Missouri let him get away. So Rift Herald pushing in. This is going to be an inhibitor at 20 minutes. Saints Gaming really bullying these guys now. And you can tell that their synergy is a lot more effective than it was in recent history for the Saints. Nice binding. Nice binding. And Blinn, you can see, he's so tempted to jump back in there. But their synergy is so much stronger now. They're making calls as a team. It's certainly paying off. Ooh, Boland's gonna miss there. Young Bobo getting pulled back into the fight. He actually ends up getting away from this one. Morgana goes down, but so does Zaya. Jax goes down now finally, and now they're jumping forward. Blinn doesn't have any mana, but will still be able to do a lot of damage, and they've got a tiny mini wave that they could potentially use, but they're not going to do that. Instead, they're going to turn. They're going to go for Baron. They see this ward, but they don't care. They're going to just walk their way over there. They've got 15 seconds now on Jax and 13 seconds on Xayah before they can get in there and really do any damage or help turn this around to stop the Baron. I just don't think that's going to work out. Baron's going to go down extremely quickly here with these guys. And they will set themselves up for an absolutely massive lead. Could be closing in on that 10,000 lead mark. Get out of this. So 44.6 to 34.6, exactly in favor of the Saints. And really not caring about Dragon. That's actually something I'm interested in. I don't know if it's just something they don't typically care about, and if they just put their priorities on the towers. I like it. I definitely think that's the right thing to do. But I wonder if they could find a way to weave that Dragon somewhere into the playstyle when things are going right. It's clear that these games were going right for them, and yet they lost Dragon both times, and they're still totally not focused on it. They have the opportunity to even right now. Go for it. Nice binding. Tristana's gonna jump in there. Whoa, that's a lot of damage. 476 damage on the one shot. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane here, Urgot jumping in for some reason, taking tower shots as well. Actually, it looks like he's trying to bait Trundle forward by going low health. One more shot from Tristana's gonna pick up the Thresh. She jumps away from this one, and I gotta say, MVP of the game for sure for me. It's gonna be Brent, and I think he's showing off a little bit in this one. What he's capable of. The last one, he certainly did a great job as well, but obviously 14, 2, and 5, a little bit of a match, especially when it's your first game against a certain team. You don't know exactly what you're gonna do. Nice flash, picks up the kill on Jax, picks up the kill on Xayah, and now jumping forward, he's gonna have no problem fighting that Trundle. And here we go. So two Nexus turrets, two Nexus turrets going down here. Tristana really focusing on those as opposed to the characters in the background here. You can see they're not dying. Bladen's really there to do that damage. Nice pickup from Urgot with that ultimate. They're going to back away. Everyone's going to back away from this one. KDA, I guess. And down goes the Nexus. Coming out from Missouri, and that's going to be a big win for Saints Gaming. Now moving on to the second round, where we're going to face Texas Tech, the #1 seed in this tournament. But a pretty dominating series of games there. Lost a little bit of a lead in the first game in that mid game section, but turned things around, and they ended up, again, just go to that grocery store, pick up all the essentials, go through it the most efficient way possible, and they absolutely nail it. So great job from the Saints, and they will be moving on in the Teemo Cup.